Good afternoon. I hope everyone enjoyed the Memorial Day weekend. We had a great Memorial Day event where those being honored and their families were present in person. I remember 5 weeks ago when this was announced, many people denounced us for planning our summer events. As fast as information is changing during this crisis, it makes sense to keep our powder dry and not make final decisions until it's absolutely necessary. I want to start today by going through the latest numbers. Since May 1st, the village and the rest of the state, with the exception of Chicago, has met the governor's metrics. The first metric is the percent of positive tests below 20% for 14 days. For the last 14 days, the testing percentage was 9.6% across the state and 8.9% specifically in Orland Park, well below the governor's threshold. As I've talked about before, testing percentages are not the best metric because of the ability to manipulate it with who and how many tests are given. A better metric is daily COVID-related hospital admissions in suburban Cook County, which have stayed steady or trended downward for over 6 weeks. Currently, daily hospitalizations are less than 1/6 of what they were a month ago. Tomorrow, we are opening. This is several weeks after the metrics indicated that we could open. One of the things that concerns me about this delay is that there's now more pent-up demand and likely far more people will venture out upon opening than would have 3 weeks ago. For this reason, I will not be surprised to see an uptick in the hospitalization related to COVID because hospitalizations have been reduced to near zero. We simply need to remain mindful of this and not overreact, and remember that the goal is to make sure that the hospital system is not overwhelmed. Another metric for Restore Illinois is that ICU bed and ventilators for COVID patients remain stable or declining, which they have been doing for at least a month. Additionally, the last metric is that ICU beds and ventilator bed capacity stay above 14%. This metric has been above 14% for over a month. Unfortunately, half of Illinois deaths and nearly 100% of Orland Park's 30 deaths have occurred in long-term care facilities. It was very concerning that the state stopped reporting this last week. However, several newspapers called this out in editorials, and the state reversed its decision. It is okay to make mistakes, but it is not okay to hide information that is embarrassing to you. Sunlight is the best disinfectant, and the state needs to do a better job monitoring and overseeing our long-term care facilities. As we move to phase 3 tomorrow, it is important for our vulnerable populations to stay at home as much as possible because COVID-19 is especially dangerous for people over 60 with pre-existing conditions. Over 90% of all U.S. deaths are above the age of 55. Additionally, in suburban Cook County, the likelihood of hospitalizations and death increases significantly with age. While the Restore Illinois plan does not specifically address these issues, the CDC strongly recommends that vulnerable populations shelter in place until the economy returns to normal. Likewise, the CDC recommends that nursing homes do not take visitors until the economy is fully reopened. According to the governor, we will move into phase 3 tomorrow. Based on the latest information that we have, here's some of what you can expect beginning tomorrow. Restaurants will be allowed to open outdoor seating for dining. We passed an ordinance allowing this on May 18th to augment capacity for restaurants when they are allowed to open. The governor then stated on May 20th that outdoor seating for restaurants would be allowed in phase 3. The village board, other mayors, and I continue to ask the governor to allow restaurants to open indoor seating at reduced capacity as well. Frankly, most restaurants will not be able to operate in a financially sustainable way with just outdoor seating. All retail establishments will be open, including Orland Square Mall. You may recall the governor stated that the mall would not open until phase 5. I want to thank him for reconsidering his position. I also remember that just a few short weeks ago there was a fair amount of public outcry when I answered a reporter's question stating that I supported Orland Square's preparations for a May 29th opening. Because they prepared in advance, they will be able to safely open. Not only was it a good business decision, but it was the responsible thing to do to keep customers safe. They anticipate that 25% of their stores will open right away, with all of the stores opening within 2 weeks. Youth sports practices are also allowed. While games are not yet allowed, it is great that our kids can get out and play organized sports. Originally, this was not part of phase 3. I am thankful that IDPH and the governor has relaxed their position. Barbershops and salons are open. I am sure that many of you are thankful for that. I know my wife is thrilled because my hair is longer than it has been in my entire life. Health clubs are closed except for outdoor classes of 10 or less and for one-on-one training. I know that many of you would like your fitness clubs to open completely, but that will not happen until the next phase. This is the recommendation of the CDC and all expert guidance that we found, so it was part of our plan as well. I think all of this guidance recognizes the challenges of keeping equipment sanitized and also to ensure that there are no huge spikes in cases when we begin our return to normal. We will continue to push for us to be able to move to the next phase in 2 weeks. That is what the CDC, WHO, and every expert recommends. The governor has continued to call for 28 days between phases, but there are no experts that recommend this. We hope that he reconsiders his position on this issue. All village buildings will open on June 1st. A reminder that the Secretary of State is no longer in the Village Hall. The Secretary of State has opted to leave permanently due to the difficulty of maintaining social distancing in the Village Hall. The pool will open for swim classes of less than 10 students, but otherwise will remain closed until the next phase. Again, I want to reiterate the need for those of you over 60 or who are immunocompromised to stay at home until we fully reopen, hopefully in a month. COVID-19 remains a significant health threat to those of you that fit these descriptions. Also, I encourage our long-term care facilities to remain vigilant and follow the procedures you have been following for the last couple of months. I recommend everyone observe social distancing wherever possible and continue to pay special attention to personal hygiene measures. Also, please disinfect surfaces regularly. It is our efforts to be conscious of not spreading this and other viruses that will help make our return to normal more expeditious. It is important to note that the guidance given by IDPH for Phase 3 of the Restore Illinois Plan are presented as guidelines. Nobody will be an expert in these guidelines, and our businesses will do the best they can to follow them to the best of their understanding. I know it can and will be confusing to both businesses and individuals. Please be patient. A reminder also that the Village of Orland Park has approximately 3,000 businesses, and there is no way that the Village, IDPH, or anyone else knows the intricacies of all of these businesses. Please do not take it upon yourself to play, quote, the Restore Illinois Police. Do not call us and ask us to do so either. The Village has no legal authority to enforce these guidelines. If you don't like how a particular business is handling the return to normal, simply do not do business with them. It is perfectly within the purview of a business, however, to ask you to wear a mask on their premises. Just like no shirt, no shoes, no service, they have the ability to request that you follow their rules. If you choose not to follow the rules businesses establish, then I recommend that you leave their premises. If you do not, that is trespassing, and the Village will prosecute those violators. However, please note that the Village cannot and will not mandate the wearing of masks. Ultimately, it is up to businesses to make their customers comfortable enough to consume their product or service. It has always made sense for the Village, our businesses, and individuals to prepare for the inevitable return to normal. I realize that currently there are people with strong feelings on the issue of returning to normal. Some of you believe this should have happened in March, while others of you believe that this is way too soon and should stay closed for the foreseeable future. I encourage those of you who think we should have returned to normal weeks ago to be conscious and respectful of others and give them space. I also encourage those of you who think it is way too soon to be responsible for yourselves and not push your position on others. At the end of the day, nobody is being forced to do anything. Take responsibility for yourself and be respectful of others. The metrics clearly indicate that we should be open and have indicated that for a month. Many other states have started to return to normal and have not seen spikes in cases. We are not looking for cases to decrease, but are watching the data to make sure that cases stay stable as we return to normal, and it is inevitable that we will return to normal. Not only can we keep people safe and return to normal, we must do so. A well-functioning healthcare system requires a vibrant economy. We all need to be patient and use common sense as we return to normal. The people of America and of Orland Park have done a great job throughout this crisis. I have no doubt that this will continue as we reopen. Please enjoy the weekend, getting haircuts, getting your nails done, or doing whatever else you've been waiting months to enjoy. Thank you.